Details on the newly passed infrastructure bill.
Avoid devastating closures and disruptive collapses like we've seen, including what we saw in Tennessee and Florida.
Less than half of this bill is roads, bridges, airports, and seaports.
And Florida is front and center, an icon in the media industry.
I truly believe that this is an incredible profession.
Jorge Ramos shares his experience with students and Panthers at practice.
Well, we're certainly all grateful to be back out here.
Take to the hardwood for real later today. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Zitlali Solache.
And I'm Danelle Duke, and today is November 9th, 2021.
From the South Florida Media Network's Biscayne-based studios in North Miami, this is SFMN Newsbreak.
Will the new infrastructure bill be a sunshine state save? Politicians on different sides of the aisles with differing opinions. Billions of dollars coming to the state of Florida.
Once Biden's infrastructure bill becomes law, billions of federal dollars will be granted to Florida once President Biden signs the $1.2 trillion Infrastructure Reinvestment and Jobs Act into law. But the projects that will benefit from this at all haven't been identified yet.
This is the largest investment in roads, bridges, and highways since the creation of the interstate highway system, including the largest investment in our bridges ever, so that we can avoid devastating closures and disruptive collapses.
We were promised that this was infrastructure. Less than half of this bill is roads, bridges, airports, and seaports, and we were promised it was paid for. It's not paid for.
The House of Representatives passed the infrastructure bill on Friday after weeks of debate. It passed on a 228 to 206 vote. 6 Democrats and a majority of Republicans, including Miami U.S. Representative Mario Diaz-Balart, Carlos Jimenez, and Maria Elvira Salazar, voted against the bill.
Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is officially running for re-election next year. He filed campaign paperwork Friday and officially launched it soon after. The Republican challenges coronavirus vaccines and mask mandates and promises to keep businesses and schools open if he's re-elected. Florida hasn't elected a Democratic governor since 1994.
Analysis from Florida and California show more than 10,000 of people have been in the U.S. and have been affected by COVID by seeking care at hospitals. Medicare records seen by Kaiser Health show that patients in hospitals for heart attacks and kidney failures were likely to contract COVID-19. The data comes from 2020 when protective gear and COVID tests were in short supply.
This morning, we are hearing from the first international travelers to arrive in the U.S. since restrictions were relaxed. After having a travel ban from more than 30 countries in place, visitors can now come to the United States with proof of vaccination. And a recent negative COVID test, one man who hadn't seen his relatives in more than 2 years touched down at JFK in New York yesterday.
I'm visiting family and friends here in New York. That's it, no longer on a screen. It's going to be hugs, it's going to be in person, catching up, a lot of stories to tell.
Airlines are still adjusting to the pandemic and continue to bring back employees and airplanes.
In terms of
the FIU men's basketball team is now done with off-season practicing. And as the network Sophia Lama reports, the Panthers season starts today.
After a tough 2020 season filled with COVID cases, cancellations, injuries, and losses, the FIU men's basketball team is equipped with 9 new players, a healthy roster, and is ready to get the ball rolling this 2021 season. A 2020-2021 season riddled with disappointment for FIU men's basketball is a thing of the past. Now, with more lenient COVID-19 guidelines, the Panthers have been hard at work and are ready to hit the ground running.
Well, we're certainly all grateful to be back out here, and our players are taking advantage of it. I mean, they've been getting after it. They're competing every single day. They're hungry to be a much better team and have a great season.
With newcomers and seasoned veterans, the team has a roster ready to take on 7 Division I opponents at home and play 18 Conference USA games this season.
Yeah, we have a really unique balance of young guys, new players to the team, experienced returners, and also experienced newcomers. So I think that balance gives us a chance to be special this year.
The FIU Panthers will face off against the Georgia Bulldogs on November 9th for their season opener. For South Florida Media Network, I'm Sophia Lama.
Despite the cold temperatures in Denver, things got heated at last night's Heat game. After a hard foul from the Heat's Markieff Morris, a player from the Nuggets retaliated by slamming his shoulder into Morris's back. Morris was carried off on a stretcher with a neck injury. Both he and the Nuggets' Nikola Jokic were ejected from the game. Miami lost 113-96.
Wells Fargo giving a helping hand to Florida International University post-pandemic.
That's still ahead, and so is this story.
I found 6 areas in which you really have to take a stand.
And students at MMC campus attending a workshop with a legendary journalist. Don't go away, Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
How prepared is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our fellow Americans.
Right now, the COVID-19 vaccines are available to millions of Americans.
And soon, they will be available to everyone.
The science is clear. These vaccines will protect you and those you love from this dangerous and deadly disease.
They could save your life.
So we urge you to get vaccinated when it's available to you.
That's the first step to ending the pandemic and moving our country forward. It's up to you.
An FIU conference on journalism and the dangers of neutrality. Students at Florida International University getting to learn from a legend.
As the network's Helena Acevedo reports, yesterday's guest of honor was Univision News anchor Jorge Ramos.
FIU welcomed renowned journalist Jorge Ramos as part of the Hearst Distinguished Lecture Series to discuss neutrality, impartiality, and balance in journalism.
It's been 35 years, and I'm not ready to.
Students and faculty filled the room to listen to Ramos discuss his trajectory in the industry and what he's learned from his experience. Neutrality was one of the major points of this lecture. Ramos reflected on his interviews with world leaders, and he urged the crowd not to remain neutral and to take a stand in the face of injustice.
I found 6 areas in which you really have to take a stand. And it has to do with discrimination, racism, corruption, public lies, the violation of human rights, and dictatorship.
In relation to those 6 areas, he expressed the importance of asking the right questions and taking advantage of being in front of the interview subject without expectations of ever seeing them again.
So if you take anything from this conversation today, is that on some occasions, as a journalist, you have to take a stand. Because if you remain neutral, you are in a way complicit to those who are abusing its power.
After the lecture, we caught up with Ramos and he told us what he loves about the profession of journalism and what he hopes others see in it as well.
I truly believe that this is an incredible profession. It gives you the opportunity to witness history and to get to know people who are actually making history. And that's something that you would never find in another profession. It is, as Gabriel Garcia Marquez used to say, the best profession in the world, and it truly is. You have the opportunity to live and to stay young and rebellious for the rest of your life.
Ramos also mentioned that one of the beauties of being at the university was that they embrace everyone no matter where they come from. For the South Florida Media Network, Helena Acevedo.
Wells Fargo awards FIU a food grant to help entrepreneurs recover from the pandemic. More than 1,000 small business owners will receive assistance. The company gave an Open for Business Fund grant to Florida International University to create a virtual platform where food and beverage is given to South Florida workers in need. The $750,000 grant will offer resources to help with those struggling after the COVID-19 pandemic.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Zitlali Solache.
And I'm Danelle Dugan. Get more news anytime at sfmn.fiu.edu.